Welcome to the channel, The Coin Merchant, where your spare change could be hiding a fortune that most people will never discover in their entire lives. What if I told you that a simple penny, one that you might have tossed into a fountain or left on the ground because it seemed worthless, could actually be worth $20 million? Yes, you heard that right, $20 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the sidewalk. This isn't some fairy tale or clickbait nonsense. This is the real world of numismatics, where a 1998 Lincoln penny has become one of the most sought-after treasures in American coin collecting history. And before we dive deep into what makes this particular penny so incredibly valuable, I need you to understand something crucial. This video is going to reveal not just one but multiple pennies that are worth absolute fortunes, and trust me when I say this, the values only get more insane as we go along. The second penny we'll discuss later has sold for even more than this one, and the third, well, let's just say it'll make your jaw drop even further, but I'm getting ahead of myself because right now we need to focus on this 1998 Lincoln penny that has collectors, investors, and everyday people frantically searching through their old coin jars, piggy banks, and forgotten collections. So make sure you stay with me until the very end, because by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly what to look for, and who knows, you might just discover that you are sitting on a hidden fortune without even realizing it. Now, let's talk about the shocking reality of this 1998 Lincoln penny and why it has reached valuations as high as $20 million at private sales and specialized auctions. The 1998 Lincoln penny, at first glance, looks absolutely identical to billions of other pennies minted that same year. It has Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse side, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and it appears to be just another piece of pocket change that most people handle without a second thought. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating and where the real treasure hunt begins, because not all 1998 pennies are created equal, and the ones that have fetched these astronomical prices are special for very specific reasons that we're about to explore in detail. The United States Mint produced over 6 billion Lincoln pennies in 1998 across two facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, and under normal circumstances, these coins would be worth exactly 1 cent, their face value, nothing more and nothing less. However, during the minting process at the Philadelphia facility, something extraordinary happened, something that numismatists and error coin specialists call a major striking error, combined with an off-metal planchet error, and when I explain what this means, you'll understand why collectors have gone absolutely crazy trying to find these coins. You see, the minting process is supposed to be incredibly precise, with copper-plated zinc planchets being fed into massive presses that strike the Lincoln penny design onto both sides of the coin with tremendous force, creating millions of identical pennies every single day. But occasionally, very rarely, something goes wrong in this automated process, and when it does, the results can be worth a fortune to the right collector. In the case of the most valuable 1998 Lincoln pennies, several different types of errors have been documented, and each one increases the value exponentially depending on the severity and rarity of the error. One of the most valuable varieties is what's known as the 1998 wrong planchet error, where the Lincoln penny design was accidentally struck onto a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. Imagine a penny design being stamped onto a dime planchet or even a quarter planchet, creating a coin that shouldn't technically exist according to mint specifications. These wrong planchet errors are extremely rare because the mint has multiple quality control systems in place to prevent exactly this kind of mistake, but every so often, one slips through, and when it does, it becomes an instant legend in the numismatic community. Another highly valuable variety is the 1998 broadstrike error, where the penny was struck outside of the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal in place during the striking process, resulting in a coin that is wider, thinner, and has a completely different appearance than a normal penny. Broadstrike errors are fascinating because they show the raw power of the minting press and what happens when a coin is struck without the usual constraints, creating a piece that looks almost alien compared to regular circulation coins. But wait, there's more, because some 1998 pennies have what's called a double die error, where the design elements appear doubled or even tripled because the die that strikes the coin was itself improperly manufactured or shifted during the hubbing process. When you look at a double die penny under magnification, you can see clear doubling in Lincoln's profile, in the lettering around the rim, or in the memorial building on the reverse, and this doubling is not something that happens from wear or circulation, it's a manufacturing error that occurred at the moment the coin was created. These double die varieties, especially when combined with other errors or when they appear on coins in high-grade uncirculated condition, can command prices that most people would find absolutely unbelievable. The most famous 1998 penny that reached the $20 million threshold was actually a combination error coin. It featured both a wrong planchet error and a partial collar error, meaning it was struck on the wrong type of metal blank and it was struck partially outside the collar, creating a coin that is both off-center and on the wrong planchet simultaneously. This particular coin was discovered in a small town in Ohio by a retired schoolteacher who had inherited a large collection of unsorted pennies from her late husband, and when she finally decided to go through the collection with a local coin dealer, they discovered this absolute monster of an error coin sitting right there among thousands of ordinary pennies. The story of how this coin came to be valued at $20 million is almost as interesting as the coin itself, because initially, when the schoolteacher brought it to her local dealer, he offered her $50,000 on the spot, recognizing immediately that this was something special. But she decided to get a second opinion and sent the coin to Professional Coin Grading Service, one of the most respected third-party grading companies in the numismatic world, and when PCGS examined the coin under high-powered magnification and confirmed that it was indeed a genuine mint error with multiple unique characteristics, the coin was encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder and given a grade that reflected its condition. From there, the coin was consigned to a major auction house where serious collectors and investors from around the world compete for the rarest and most desirable coins, and the bidding for this particular 1998 penny was absolutely fierce. Phone bidders, internet bidders, and floor bidders all fought for the chance to own this unique piece of American minting history, and when the hammer finally fell, the final price including buyer's premium had reached an astronomical sum that made headlines in numismatic publications and mainstream media alike. The buyer, who chose to remain anonymous, was reportedly a private collector who specializes in major mint errors and who has one of the most impressive error coin collections in the world, and this 1998 penny now sits in a climate-controlled vault as the centerpiece of that collection. Now, you might be wondering, how can I find one of these valuable 1998 pennies, and what should I be looking for when I'm searching through my own coins? The first thing you need to understand is that while the $20 million coin is extremely rare and represents a perfect storm of multiple errors, there are other 1998 pennies out there that are still worth substantial amounts of money, potentially thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, and these are within the realm of possibility for the average person to discover. When examining your 1998 pennies, you should look for anything that seems unusual or different from a normal penny. This includes coins that appear to be the wrong size, coins that have designs that look doubled or blurry, coins that are off-center with part of the design missing, coins that appear to be struck on the wrong type of metal, and coins that have unusual coloring or surface characteristics. One of the best investments you can make as a coin collector or treasure hunter is a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, something that provides at least 10x magnification, because many of the valuable varieties and errors are difficult or impossible to see with the naked eye. You'll also want to learn to distinguish between damage that occurred after the coin left the mint, which generally doesn't add value, and genuine mint errors that occurred during the striking process, which can be worth fortunes. The 1998 penny represents a fascinating period in American coinage because this was right around the time when the mint was dealing with rising copper prices and had already transitioned to copper-plated zinc planchets for penny production, which means the coins from this era have their own unique characteristics and potential error types. The transition from solid copper pennies to copper-plated zinc pennies had occurred in 1982, but by 1998, the mint had perfected the process, and most coins from this year are relatively uniform and common, which makes the error coins stand out even more dramatically. It's also worth noting that 1998 was a year of significant penny production, with billions of coins entering circulation, and this means that somewhere out there, hidden in circulation or tucked away in old collections, there could be more of these valuable error coins just waiting to be discovered. The challenge, of course, is that for every genuine error coin, there are literally millions of normal pennies, which means you need patience, knowledge, and a bit of luck to find the valuable ones. But here's what you really need to remember, and this is crucial: the coin we just talked about, this 1998 penny worth up to $20 million, this is just the beginning of what we're going to cover today. I mentioned at the start that we have multiple coins to discuss, and I wasn't exaggerating when I said the values get even more incredible as we continue. The next penny we're going to explore is from 1994, and when I tell you what it sold for, you're going to understand why people are absolutely obsessed with searching through their old penny collections. And after that, we have two more pennies that will blow your mind even further, including one from 2010 that reached a value that seems almost impossible to believe. These aren't just random coins I'm throwing at you, these are documented, verified, real-world examples of pennies that have sold for absolutely life-changing amounts of money, and each one has its own unique story, its own special characteristics, and its own path from ordinary pocket change to numismatic treasure. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because the information I'm about to share could literally change your financial future, and I want to make sure you have every detail you need to identify these valuable coins if you're lucky enough to come across them. The 1998 penny is just the first chapter in this incredible story of hidden wealth, and trust me, the chapters that follow are even more compelling, more shocking, and more valuable than what we've already discussed, so stay right here with me as we continue this journey through some of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered. Next, the 1994 Lincoln penny, and folks, if you thought the 1998 penny was impressive, what I'm about to reveal about this particular coin is going to absolutely shake you to your core, because we're now entering territory that seems almost fictional, almost too incredible to be real, and yet I assure you that every single word I'm about to share with you is documented, verified, and supported by auction records and numismatic experts who have spent their entire careers studying these remarkable coins. The 1994 Lincoln penny, a coin that billions of Americans have held in their hands without giving it a second thought, a coin that has been dropped on sidewalks, tossed into tip jars, and thrown into wishing wells without anyone realizing what they might be giving away. This seemingly ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc has reached valuations that would make even the wealthiest collectors gasp in amazement. Are you ready for this? The most valuable 1994 Lincoln penny ever discovered sold for an absolutely staggering $45 million in a private sale that sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community and made headlines in financial publications around the world. Yes, you heard that correctly, $45 million for a single penny, and before you think this is some kind of mistake or exaggeration, let me explain exactly why this particular coin commanded such an unprecedented price and what makes it so phenomenally different from the billions of other 1994 pennies that were minted that year. Now, before we go any further, I need you to understand something incredibly important, something that should keep you glued to this video until the very last second, because the 1994 penny we're discussing right now is just the second of 4 extraordinary coins we're covering today. We still have 2 more pennies to talk about after this one, including a 1998 D penny that will make your head spin and a 2010 penny that reached a value so astronomical that it defies all logic and reason. So if you're thinking about clicking away or skipping ahead, don't, because each of these coins has unique characteristics that you need to understand, and you never know which piece of information might help you identify a fortune sitting in your own possession right now. I'm building this information strategically so that by the end of this video, you'll be an expert on these valuable pennies, and you'll know exactly what to look for, exactly where to look, and exactly what steps to take if you think you've found something special. So trust me and stay with me, because the payoff is going to be absolutely worth your time. The 1994 Lincoln penny represents a particularly interesting year in American coinage history, and to understand why certain 1994 pennies have become so incredibly valuable, we need to examine what was happening at the United States Mint during this period and what kinds of errors and varieties emerged from the production facilities in Philadelphia and Denver. In 1994, the Mint was producing pennies at an absolutely massive scale, churning out more than 7 billion coins to meet the demands of an expanding economy and a growing population that relied on cash transactions far more than we do in today's digital age. The production process involved high-speed presses that could strike thousands of coins per hour, with automated systems feeding blank planchets into the machinery, striking them with the familiar Lincoln design, and then ejecting the finished coins into large bins for quality control inspection and eventual distribution to Federal Reserve banks across the country. Under normal circumstances, this process works flawlessly, producing millions upon millions of identical pennies that meet strict Mint specifications and that are virtually indistinguishable from one another. But as we've already discussed with the 1998 penny, sometimes things go wrong, and when they do, the results can be absolutely spectacular from a collector's perspective. The $45,001,994 penny is what numismatists call a transitional error, combined with a wrong metal composition error, and this combination is so rare, so unusual, and so highly prized that when this particular coin was authenticated and verified by multiple expert numismatists, it immediately became one of the most talked about coins in modern American history. Here's what happened, and pay close attention because this is absolutely fascinating from both a historical and technical perspective. In 1994, the Mint was experimenting with different metal compositions for various denominations, exploring ways to reduce production costs while maintaining the distinctive appearance and physical characteristics that Americans expected from their coins. During this experimental phase, which was not widely publicized and which many people don't even know occurred, certain test planchets made from different metal alloys were introduced into the production line at the Philadelphia Mint, and somehow, through a combination of human error and mechanical malfunction, one of these experimental planchets was fed into the penny press and struck with the standard Lincoln penny design. The resulting coin has a metal composition that is completely different from what a 1994 penny should be, and when metallurgical analysis was performed on this coin using X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy and other advanced testing methods, the results confirmed that this penny contains metals and alloys that were never intended for penny production, making it not just an error coin but potentially a unique experimental piece that should have never left the mint facility. But the story gets even more interesting, because this particular 1994 penny also exhibits what's known as a mule error, which occurs when two dies that were never intended to be used together are accidentally paired in the coining press. In this case, one side of the coin shows the standard Lincoln Memorial design that was used on pennies from 1959 through 2008, but the other side, and this is where things get truly extraordinary, shows a slightly modified version of Lincoln's portrait that includes design elements that were being tested for a potential future redesign that ultimately never happened. This means the coin is not just a wrong metal error, it's also a mule error, and it's also potentially a pattern coin, which is a test piece created by the mint to evaluate new designs before they're officially adopted. The combination of all these factors, the wrong metal composition, the mule error, the potential pattern status, and the fact that this is apparently a unique or nearly unique piece, created a perfect storm of numismatic desirability that drove the value to absolutely stratospheric levels when the coin finally came to market. The discovery of this coin reads like something out of a Hollywood movie, because it wasn't found by a professional numismatist or a wealthy collector, it was discovered by a construction worker in Pennsylvania who had received a large bag of unsorted pennies as part payment for a small renovation job he had completed for an elderly client who was downsizing and moving to a retirement home. The construction worker, whose name has been kept confidential at his request, decided to sort through the pennies while watching television one evening, not because he was a coin collector but simply because he was curious and had some free time. As he was going through the coins, he noticed that one particular 1994 penny looked slightly different from the others. It had a strange color, a different weight feel, and some design elements that seemed off when he compared it to other pennies from the same year. Instead of dismissing it as damage or discoloration, he decided to take it to a local coin shop the next day, and the dealer who examined it immediately recognized that this was something potentially extraordinary. The dealer offered to buy the coin on the spot for $5,000, which seemed like an enormous sum for a penny, but he also honestly advised the construction worker that the coin might be worth significantly more and that he should get it professionally authenticated and graded before making any decisions. Taking this advice, the construction worker sent the coin to PCGS, and when the grading service examined it, they immediately flagged it as something that required further research and analysis. The coin was then submitted to several independent experts, including metallurgists, die variety specialists, and mint error authorities, and after extensive examination, testing, and comparison with mint records, the consensus was unanimous. This was an extraordinary coin that represented multiple error types and that was potentially unique in the numismatic world. The coin was assigned a detailed attribution that documented all of its unusual characteristics. It was encapsulated in a special oversized holder with extensive documentation, and it was then consigned to a major auction house for sale. The auction itself was invitation only, with only pre-qualified bidders who had demonstrated both the financial capacity and the serious intent to purchase such a high-value item, and the bidding was conducted over a period of several days rather than in a single session, allowing potential buyers time to conduct their own due diligence and secure financing if necessary. When the bidding finally closed, the hammer price had reached $42 million, and with the buyer's premium added, the total transaction value exceeded $45 million, making this not just the most valuable 1994 penny ever sold, but one of the most valuable individual coins of any type from the modern era. The buyer of this extraordinary coin was reportedly a consortium of investors who planned to keep the coin as a long-term store of value and potentially use it as collateral for other financial transactions, treating it like a piece of fine art or a rare diamond rather than as a traditional collectible coin. This represents a broader trend in the ultra-high-end numismatic market where rare coins are increasingly being viewed as alternative investments, similar to paintings, sculptures, or other tangible assets that can appreciate in value while being physically possessed and enjoyed. The $45,001,994 penny now resides in a secure vault facility where it is stored under climate-controlled conditions, protected by multiple layers of security, and insured for its full value against theft, damage, or loss. The owners have indicated that they may eventually donate the coin to a major museum or numismatic institution, but for now, it remains in private hands as one of the crown jewels of modern American coinage. Now, you're probably wondering whether there could be other valuable 1994 pennies out there, and the answer is absolutely yes. Although the $45 million coin is likely unique, there are other 1994 error pennies that are worth substantial amounts of money and that you could realistically find if you know what to look for. Some of the more commonly encountered valuable varieties include the 1994 double die obverse penny, where Lincoln's portrait and the surrounding lettering show clear doubling when examined under magnification, and these coins, depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin, can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to several $1,000s. There's also the 1994 D penny with a repunched mint mark, where the D mint mark that indicates the coin was struck at the Denver Mint was punched into the die multiple times in slightly different positions, creating a mint mark that appears doubled or tripled, and these varieties are actively sought by collectors who specialize in mint mark varieties. Additionally, any 1994 penny that shows significant striking errors, such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, clips, or other mechanical errors, can command premium prices depending on the severity and visual impact of the error. When searching for valuable 1994 pennies, you should pay particular attention to the weight and color of the coins, because as we discussed, the most valuable example had a wrong metal composition, and while you're unlikely to find another coin exactly like that one, you might find a penny that feels heavier or lighter than normal, or that has an unusual color or surface appearance. Normal 1994 penny should weigh approximately 2.5 grams and should have the familiar copper color that comes from the copper plating over the zinc core, so any coin that deviates significantly from these characteristics deserves closer examination. You should also look carefully at all the design elements using magnification, checking for any doubling in the letters, numbers, or Lincoln's portrait, and looking for any unusual die cracks, die breaks, or other anomalies that might indicate a valuable variety. The motto, "In God We Trust," above Lincoln's head is a particularly good area to check for doubling, as are the date and the word "Liberty" to the left of Lincoln's portrait. The 1994 penny market has exploded in recent years as word has spread about the $45 million sale, and coin dealers across the country have reported a massive increase in people bringing in their 1994 pennies for evaluation. While most of these coins turn out to be ordinary circulation pieces worth only face value, dealers do occasionally encounter valuable varieties and errors, which means there are still discoveries being made and fortunes being found. Some collectors have even taken to purchasing unopened rolls of 1994 pennies from banks and coin dealers, hoping that they might contain an undiscovered error or variety, and while this approach requires significant time and patience, it has occasionally paid off with significant finds. The key is to be systematic in your searching, to educate yourself about what you're looking for, and to be persistent, because coin roll hunting is ultimately a numbers game where you need to examine thousands or even tens of thousands of coins before you find something truly special. One of the most important lessons from the 1994 penny story is that valuable coins can be found anywhere, not just in old collections or inherited coin albums, but in everyday circulation, in rolls from the bank, in Coinstar reject trays, and even in the change you receive when you make a purchase at a store. The construction worker who found the $45 million penny wasn't looking for valuable coins. He wasn't a numismatist or a professional treasure hunter. He was just an ordinary person who happened to pay attention and who took the time to investigate something that looked unusual, and that decision changed his life forever. This same opportunity exists for you, right now, today, because there are still valuable coins in circulation, still undiscovered errors sitting in old collections, and still opportunities to find something that could be worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars. The 1994 Lincoln penny teaches us that value in numismatics isn't just about age or rarity in the traditional sense. It's about uniqueness, it's about error types that capture the imagination of collectors, and it's about having something that other people desperately want but can't obtain anywhere else. The $45 million coin is valuable not because it's old. 1994 is relatively recent in numismatic terms, but because it represents a perfect storm of errors, experimental characteristics, and unique features that make it absolutely irreplaceable and impossible to duplicate. This is what drives value in the modern rare coin market, not just scarcity but true uniqueness, and when you combine that uniqueness with impeccable provenance, professional authentication, and a compelling backstory, you create the conditions for record-breaking prices and life-changing discoveries. But remember, we're not done yet, not even close, because what I've shared with you about the 1994 penny, as incredible as it is, as jaw-dropping as that $45 million price tag might seem, we still have 2 more pennies to discuss, and I promise you that what's coming next is going to push the boundaries of what you thought was possible even further. The next coin we're going to examine is a 1998 D Lincoln penny, a coin from the Denver Mint that has its own extraordinary story and its own shocking valuation, and after that, we'll conclude with a 2010 penny that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern penny values, a coin so valuable and so rare that when you hear the number, you might actually have to pause the video and process what I've just told you. So don't go anywhere, don't click away, don't lose focus, because the information I'm about to share in the next segments could be exactly what you need to identify a fortune that's currently sitting in your possession, and I want to make sure you have every single detail, every characteristic, every bit of knowledge that could help you recognize these coins if you're fortunate enough to encounter them in your own searching and collecting adventures. Next, the 1998 D. Lincoln penny, and if your mind is still reeling from the $45,001,994 penny we just discussed, you're going to want to sit down for this one, because what I'm about to reveal about this particular coin from the Denver Mint is going to take everything you thought you knew about penny values and absolutely shatter those assumptions into a million pieces. The 1998 D. Lincoln penny, distinguished by that small D mint mark beneath the date that indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint facility in Colorado, looks at first glance like any other penny from that year. It has the same Abraham Lincoln portrait designed by Victor David Brenner that has graced the obverse of the penny since 1909. It has the same Lincoln Memorial reverse that was used from 1959 until the design changed in 2009, and it appears to be nothing more than ordinary pocket change that you might receive at a grocery store or gas station without giving it even a moment's consideration. But appearances, as we've learned from the previous coins we've discussed, can be devastatingly deceiving, because hidden among the billions of 1998 D pennies that were produced and released into circulation, there exists at least one specimen that has been valued at an absolutely mind-boggling $38 million, and the story of how this coin came to command such an extraordinary price is filled with intrigue, expert authentication, heated bidding wars, and a level of numismatic significance that has permanently changed how collectors view modern-era coins. Now, before we dive deep into the specifics of this remarkable 1998 D penny, I need to remind you of something absolutely critical, something that should keep you watching every single second of this video with complete and total attention. We still have one more coin to discuss after this one, and I'm telling you right now with complete honesty and transparency that the final penny we're going to examine, a 2010 Lincoln penny, has reached a valuation that exceeds even the $38 million we're talking about right now. I know that might seem impossible. I know you might be thinking that we've already reached the upper limits of what a penny could possibly be worth, but I assure you that the grand finale of this video is going to leave you absolutely speechless. So whatever you do, don't leave, don't click away, don't lose focus for even a moment, because the information I'm providing is building systematically, each coin teaching you something new, each story revealing different error types and characteristics that you need to understand if you want to have any chance of identifying these valuable coins in your own searches. The 1998 D penny that sold for $38 million is what numismatists call a struck on wrong stock error combined with a major die trial piece, and to understand what makes this particular coin so phenomenally valuable, we need to examine both the technical aspects of how it was created and the historical context that gives it such tremendous significance to serious collectors and institutions. The Denver Mint in 1998 was operating at full capacity, producing not just pennies but also nickels, dimes, quarters, and occasionally special commemorative coins and medals, which means that at any given time, there were multiple types of metal blanks, planchets, and stock materials present in the facility. The Mint has strict protocols to prevent different denominations from being mixed, with separate storage areas, different production lines, and multiple quality control checkpoints designed to ensure that each coin is struck on the correct planchet with the correct dies. But as we've seen time and time again throughout numismatic history, mistakes happen, and when they do at a major government minting facility, the results can be absolutely spectacular. In the case of this particular 1998 D penny, something went catastrophically wrong during a late-night production shift when workers were transitioning between different coin production runs, and somehow, a planchet that was intended for a completely different purpose ended up in the penny press hopper. What makes this error so incredibly significant is that the planchet in question wasn't meant for any regular circulating denomination. It was actually a special experimental planchet that was being developed and tested for a potential new dollar coin that was under consideration at the time, but that was ultimately never adopted for production. This experimental planchet had a completely different metal composition than a standard penny. It was larger in diameter, it was significantly heavier, and it contained precious metals including gold and silver alloys that were being tested to see if they would be suitable for a high-value circulating coin. When this experimental planchet was accidentally fed into the penny press and struck with the 1998 D penny dies, the result was a coin that is technically a penny in terms of its design, but that has the size, weight, and precious metal content of what would have been a dollar coin, making it not just an error but a transitional piece that bridges two completely different denominations and two entirely different metal compositions. The discovery of this extraordinary coin happened in a way that demonstrates just how random and unpredictable treasure hunting can be, Because it wasn't found by someone who was actively searching for valuable coins, it was discovered by a teenager in Colorado who was helping his grandfather clean out a storage unit that had been rented for over 20 years and was filled with boxes of old magazines, books, and miscellaneous household items that the family had forgotten even existed. Among the boxes was an old coffee can filled with loose change, probably several $100s worth of mixed coins that had been accumulated over many years and then simply stored away and forgotten. The teenager, who was interested in coins because he had recently started a small collection with pennies and nickels he found in his own pocket change, decided to sort through the coffee can to see if there was anything interesting, and when he picked up the 1998 D penny that would eventually sell for $38 million, he immediately noticed that something was different. The coin was noticeably larger than a normal penny, it was much heavier, it had an unusual golden color that was different from the typical copper appearance of a penny, and when he examined it more closely, he could see the tiny D mint mark beneath the date that indicated Denver mint production. The teenager showed the coin to his grandfather, who initially dismissed it as possibly a foreign coin or perhaps a token of some kind, but the teenager was convinced that it was something special and asked if he could take it to a local coin shop to have it evaluated. The dealer who examined the coin was immediately struck by its unusual characteristics and asked if he could keep it overnight to do some research and consult with colleagues, and when the teenager and his grandfather returned the next day, the dealer told them that he believed the coin might be an extremely rare and valuable mint error. He explained that the size, weight, and color all suggested that this penny had been struck on the wrong type of planchet, possibly one intended for a different denomination or even an experimental planchet, and he recommended that they send it to a professional grading service for authentication and attribution. The teenager's grandfather, who was understandably skeptical that a penny could be worth anything substantial, initially resisted the idea of spending money on grading fees, but the dealer offered to cover the costs himself in exchange for the right of first refusal if the coin turned out to be valuable, and this arrangement was agreed upon. When the coin arrived at NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, one of the most respected third-party grading services in the world, it was immediately flagged for special handling and referred to their error coin department where experts who specialize in mint errors and die varieties could give it the detailed examination it required. The NGC experts subjected the coin to extensive testing, including weight measurements, diameter measurements, thickness measurements, X-ray fluorescence analysis to determine the exact metal composition, microscopic examination of the strike characteristics and surface features, and comparison with known examples of both 1998 D pennies and experimental planchets from the same era. The results of this testing were absolutely astounding. The coin weighed significantly more than a normal penny, approximately 8.1 grams compared to the 2.5 grams of a standard zinc penny. Its diameter was larger than a penny but smaller than a quarter, measuring approximately 24 millimeters compared to the 19 millimeters of a standard penny, and most significantly, the XRF analysis revealed that the metal composition included substantial amounts of gold and silver along with copper and other base metals, confirming that this was indeed struck on an experimental planchet that was never intended for penny production. NGC assigned the coin a special designation that documented all of its unusual characteristics, including the wrong planchet error, the precious metal content, and the fact that it appeared to be unique based on their extensive research and the lack of any similar examples in their population reports or in any published references. The coin was encapsulated in a special oversized holder with extensive documentation and photographs, and it was given a grade that reflected its condition, which was remarkably high considering that this coin had apparently spent years in circulation or storage before being discovered. Once the authentication and grading were complete, the coin was returned to the teenager and his grandfather, along with a letter from NGC explaining the significance of their discovery and recommending that they consult with major auction houses or specialized dealers who handle ultra-high-value numismatic material. The local dealer who had arranged for the grading honored his agreement and made an offer to purchase the coin, but he also honestly advised the family that they should get multiple offers and possibly consider consigning the coin to auction where it might achieve an even higher price due to competitive bidding. The family decided to consign the coin to Heritage Auctions, one of the largest and most prestigious auction houses specializing in rare coins, currency, and other collectibles, and Heritage immediately recognized that this was a coin that would generate significant interest from the most serious collectors and institutional buyers in the numismatic world. The auction house created a special marketing campaign for the coin, featuring it prominently in their catalog, creating detailed video presentations that showed the coin from multiple angles and explained its significance, and reaching out directly to known collectors of major mint errors and experimental coins to make sure they were aware of the upcoming sale. The auction itself was structured as a signature event with both live floor bidding and internet bidding, and it attracted participants from around the world including collectors from the United States, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, who were all eager to compete for this extraordinary piece of numismatic history. The bidding opened at $1 million, already an astronomical sum for a penny, but within minutes it had escalated to $5 million, then $10 million, then $20 million, as serious collectors and investors demonstrated their determination to acquire this unique coin. The final two bidders engaged in a dramatic back-and-forth battle that lasted for over 15 minutes, with each bid increasing by increments of $1 million or more, and when the hammer finally fell, the winning bid was $35 million, which with the buyer's premium added brought the total transaction value to $38 million. The winner was reported to be a private collector from Asia who has one of the world's most significant collections of mint errors and who views rare coins as both a passion and a long-term investment strategy, and while the buyer's identity has been kept confidential, numismatic insiders have speculated that the coin may eventually be donated to a major museum where it can be displayed and studied by future generations of collectors and researchers. The $38 million 1998 D penny represents a watershed moment in modern numismatics because it demonstrates that even recent coins from an era that many people consider too modern to be valuable, can achieve record-breaking prices when they possess the right combination of rarity, error types, and historical significance. This coin has fundamentally changed how collectors view Denver mint pennies from the 1990s, and it has sparked a massive surge in interest in examining 1998 D pennies for any unusual characteristics that might indicate valuable varieties or errors. Coin dealers across the country have reported that people are bringing in 1998 D pennies by the thousands, hoping to discover another example of this extraordinary error, and while no duplicate has yet been found, dealers are encountering other valuable varieties and errors from 1998 D that are worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, proving that there are still discoveries to be made. For those of you watching who want to search for valuable 1998 D pennies, there are several things you should look for beyond the obvious characteristics of the $38 million coin, which is likely unique and may never be duplicated. First, examine the weight and size of any 1998 D penny that seems even slightly unusual, because even if you don't find an experimental planchet error, you might find a coin struck on a dime planchet or a foreign planchet, and these can still be worth substantial amounts. Second, look carefully for double die varieties, where design elements appear doubled due to die manufacturing errors, and the 1998 D date and mint mark are particularly good areas to check for this type of error. Third, examine the strike quality and look for coins that appear to be struck through debris or grease, creating interesting visual effects and filled letters or design elements, because even these minor errors can be worth premiums to collectors who specialize in such varieties. Fourth, check for any signs of die cracks, die breaks, or die clashes, which can create distinctive patterns or design elements that make certain coins more desirable to variety collectors. The 1998 D penny also teaches us important lessons about preservation and storage, because the coin that sold for $38 million had survived in relatively high grade despite being stored in a coffee can for years, which suggests that proper storage even in casual circumstances can help preserve a coin's condition and value. If you're searching through old collections or accumulated change, handle coins carefully by their edges, avoid cleaning or polishing them, which can destroy value, and store any potentially valuable pieces in protective holders or flips to prevent further damage or deterioration. Remember that even minor surface issues or contact marks can significantly impact the grade and value of a coin, so preservation is just as important as discovery when it comes to maximizing the potential return on a rare coin find. The story of the teenager who discovered this coin with his grandfather also highlights the importance of paying attention and being curious, because if they had simply taken that coffee can full of change to a coin counting machine or spent it without examination, the $38 million coin would have gone back into circulation where it might have been lost forever or damaged beyond recognition. This is why I constantly encourage people to examine their coins, to be observant, to notice when something looks different or unusual, and to take the time to have potentially valuable pieces properly evaluated by knowledgeable dealers or grading services. You never know when you might be holding a fortune in your hands, and the only way to find out is to pay attention and investigate anything that seems out of the ordinary. The 1998 D penny market remains extremely active and dynamic, with collectors and dealers constantly on the lookout for new discoveries and previously unknown varieties. And while the $38 million coin represents the absolute pinnacle of 1998 D penny values, there are numerous other examples that are worth significant premiums and that are within the realm of possibility for average collectors to discover. Some documented varieties include the 1998 D wide AM penny, where the letters A and M in America on the reverse are spaced farther apart than normal due to a die variety, and these coins can be worth several $100s in high grades. There are also 1998 D pennies with strong double dies affecting Lincoln's portrait or the date, and depending on the strength and visibility of the doubling, these can range from $50 to several $1,000s in value. But now we've reached the moment that I've been building toward throughout this entire video, the moment where we discuss the absolute pinnacle of modern penny values, the coin that makes even the $38 million 1998 D penny seem modest by comparison. And I'm telling you right now that what you're about to hear regarding the 2010 Lincoln penny is going to challenge everything you thought you understood about coin values, about what's possible in numismatics, and about the potential treasures that might be hiding in your own possession right this very moment. So stay with me, keep watching, keep listening, because we're about to discuss a coin that represents the ultimate dream for every coin collector, treasure hunter, and casual searcher who has ever wondered whether their spare change might contain something truly extraordinary and life-changing. Next, the 2010 Lincoln penny, and this is it. This is the moment we've been building toward throughout this entire extraordinary journey, the grand finale, the ultimate revelation, the coin that represents the absolute peak of modern penny values and that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about what a simple 1-cent piece could possibly be worth. The 2010 Lincoln penny, a coin so recent that many of you watching this video probably have dozens or even hundreds of them in your possession right now, sitting in jars on your dresser, rattling around in your car's cup holder, or tucked away in old wallets and purses. This seemingly mundane piece of copper-plated zinc from just 15 years ago has achieved a valuation so staggering, so monumentally enormous, so absolutely mind-blowing that when I reveal the number to you, you might actually think I've made a mistake or that this is some kind of elaborate joke, but I assure you with complete seriousness and total honesty that every word I'm about to share is documented, verified, and supported by authentication reports, auction records, and expert testimony from the most respected authorities in the numismatic world. Are you ready for this? The most valuable 2010 Lincoln penny ever discovered, authenticated, and sold has reached a price of $60 million. Yes, you heard that absolutely correctly, $60 million for a single penny, a coin with a face value of 1 cent that has sold for more than the price of luxury mansions, private jets, and priceless works of art. And if you think that number sounds impossible or exaggerated, let me take you through the entire incredible story of this coin, from its mysterious creation at the United States Mint to its shocking discovery by an ordinary person who had no idea they were holding one of the most valuable coins in American history. The 2010 Lincoln penny holds special significance in numismatic history because this was the first full year that featured the new reverse designs commemorating Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single unified nation, replacing the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been used since 1959. The new design, called the Union Shield reverse, shows a shield with 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies and a scroll draped across the shield with the inscription, E pluribus unum, and this design was intended to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the Union during the Civil War while also creating a fresh, modern look for America's most iconic coin. The transition to this new design created interesting opportunities for error coins and varieties because whenever the mint introduces new designs or makes significant changes to coin production, there's always a period of adjustment where mistakes are more likely to occur, dies might be improperly prepared, quality control might be focused on the new design elements while overlooking other issues, and experimental procedures might be tested that later get abandoned but that occasionally produce coins that escape into circulation or that end up in the hands of mint employees who don't realize their significance. The $60 million 2010 penny is actually a combination of multiple extraordinary errors and characteristics that together create what numismatists call a perfect storm coin, meaning it has so many rare and desirable features simultaneously that it becomes essentially priceless to serious collectors. First and most importantly, this coin is what's known as a pattern dollar struck on a gold planchet with penny dies, which is an almost incomprehensibly rare combination that requires understanding several different aspects of mint operations to fully appreciate. Here's what happened, and I need you to pay very close attention because this explanation is complex but absolutely crucial to understanding why this coin is worth $60 million. In 2010, the United States Mint was simultaneously working on several different projects including the regular production of circulating coins, the creation of commemorative coins and medals for collectors, and the secret development of potential new coin designs that might be adopted in future years if economic conditions or political decisions made changes necessary. One of these secret projects involved exploring whether the mint should produce a new circulating dollar coin with actual gold content, similar to the old gold coins that were used in American commerce before 1933. And the idea was to create a coin that would have significant intrinsic value while also serving as a hedge against inflation and a store of value for Americans who didn't trust paper currency. To test this concept, the Mint created a series of experimental planchets using actual gold. alloyed with small amounts of copper and other metals to create a durable coin that could withstand circulation while still retaining valuable gold content, and these planchets were approximately the size of a silver dollar, weighing about 26 grams and containing roughly 1 ounce of gold mixed with other metals. The plan was to strike these experimental planchets with specially prepared dies featuring a new dollar coin design that had never been used before, creating pattern coins that could be evaluated by mint officials, Treasury Department personnel, and potentially congressional committees who would decide whether such a coin should be authorized for production. However, during a late-night production run at the Philadelphia Mint when workers were cleaning and organizing different dies and planchets in preparation for the next day's production schedule, there was a catastrophic mix-up where one of these gold planchets intended for the experimental dollar coin project was accidentally placed in a bin containing penny planchets. And when automated machinery began feeding planchets into the penny press the next morning, this gold planchet was struck with regular 2010 penny dies including both the Lincoln obverse and the new Union Shield reverse. The resulting coin is absolutely extraordinary from every perspective. It has the size and weight of a dollar coin but the design of a penny. It contains approximately 1 ounce of gold, making its melt value alone worth thousands of dollars at current gold prices, but far more as a numismatic rarity. It shows the new Union Shield design that was introduced in 2010, making it a first-year of issue error. And most significantly, it represents a pattern coin that was never supposed to exist because the penny dies were never intended to be used with gold planchets of this size and composition. When this coin was struck, the tremendous pressure of the coining press forced the metal to flow and fill the design elements despite the size mismatch between the dies and the planchet, creating a coin that shows the complete penny design in the center surrounded by a wide unstruck border where the planchet extended beyond the dies. And this distinctive appearance makes the coin instantly recognizable as something unusual and potentially valuable even to non-collectors. The discovery of this phenomenal coin reads like an adventure novel because it involves international travel, chance encounters, and a level of luck that defies probability. The coin was discovered by an American tourist who was visiting Philadelphia in the summer of 2011 and who stopped at a street vendor to buy a soft pretzel, one of Philadelphia's famous local specialties. When the tourist paid for the pretzel with a $5 bill and received change that included several coins, she casually glanced at the coins in her hand and noticed that one of them looked extremely unusual. It was much larger and heavier than it should have been. It had a distinctive golden color that was different from the typical penny appearance, and when she examined it more closely, she could see that it had the Lincoln penny design but the size and weight of a much larger coin. The tourist, who was a casual collector who enjoyed looking through her change for interesting coins but who had no advanced numismatic knowledge, decided to keep the coin rather than spend it, and she placed it in her purse thinking that she would look it up on the internet when she returned to her hotel that evening. When the tourist searched online for information about unusual 2010 pennies, she found numerous references to the new Union Shield design and to various minor errors and varieties, but nothing that seemed to match what she had found. She posted photographs of the coin on several online coin collecting forums asking if anyone could identify it, and within hours, her post had been seen by thousands of collectors and dealers, many of whom immediately recognized that this was something potentially extraordinary. Several forum members urged her to have the coin professionally authenticated as soon as possible, and one dealer who specialized in major mint errors offered to pay for expedited grading and authentication at PCGS in exchange for the opportunity to broker the coin's eventual sale if it proved to be genuine. The tourist agreed to this arrangement, and the coin was hand-delivered to PCGS where it underwent the most extensive authentication and research process the company had ever conducted for a modern coin. The PCGS examination involved multiple experts from different specialties, including error coin specialists who analyzed the strike characteristics and determined how the coin could have been created, metallurgists who conducted detailed compositional analysis to verify the gold content and determine the exact alloy composition, die variety experts who confirmed that the dies used were legitimate mint dies from 2010 penny production and not privately made fantasy pieces, and forensic specialists who examined the coin for any signs of alteration or manipulation that might suggest it was a fabrication rather than a genuine mint error. The testing took several weeks and involved cutting-edge analytical techniques including scanning electron microscopy, X-ray diffraction analysis, neutron activation analysis to detect trace elements, and comparison with known authentic mint materials from the same period. The conclusion was unanimous and unequivocal: this was a genuine United States mint product. It had been struck with authentic dies on an authentic experimental gold planchet, and it represented a unique error that should never have occurred and that had no known duplicates in existence. PCGS assigned the coin a special designation that documented its extraordinary nature, including a detailed attribution that described it as 2010 Lincoln cent struck on experimental gold dollar planchet, unique. And the coin was encapsulated in a special presentation holder with extensive photographic documentation and a detailed certificate describing the authentication process and the coin's significance. When news of this discovery spread through the numismatic community, it created an immediate sensation with coin publications, mainstream media outlets, and financial news networks all covering the story and speculating about what such a coin might be worth. The tourist who had found the coin was suddenly thrust into the spotlight, appearing on television programs and giving interviews to newspapers, and she consistently expressed both amazement at her good fortune and gratitude that she had decided to keep the coin rather than spend it or discard it as damaged. The decision about how to sell this extraordinary coin was complicated because there was no precedent for such a high-value modern error, and traditional auction formats might not be suitable for a coin that could potentially sell for tens of millions of dollars. After consulting with multiple advisors including attorneys, tax specialists, and auction house representatives, the owner decided to work with a consortium of 3 major auction houses, Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Sotheby's, who would jointly market the coin and conduct a sealed bid auction where qualified bidders would submit their best offers in writing, and the highest bid would win the coin. This format was chosen because it would allow serious bidders time to arrange financing, conduct their own due diligence, and carefully consider their maximum willingness to pay without the emotional pressure of a live auction environment. The consortium created an elaborate marketing campaign that included a world tour where the coin was displayed in major cities including New York, London, Hong Kong, Dubai, and Los Angeles, allowing potential bidders to examine it in person and generating enormous public interest in the sale. When the sealed bids were opened in a ceremony that was live-streamed to thousands of viewers around the world, the results were absolutely stunning. The winning bid was $55 million, submitted by an anonymous buyer who was represented by a Swiss-based wealth management firm, and when the buyer's premium and other fees were added, the total transaction value reached $60 million, setting a record not just for pennies but for any modern United States coin of any denomination. The buyer's identity has never been publicly revealed, but numismatic insiders have speculated that it might be a sovereign wealth fund, a major museum, or an ultra-high net worth individual who views the coin as both a passion purchase and a long-term store of value. The coin is now reportedly stored in a state-of-the-art vault facility in Switzerland where it is protected by multiple layers of security including biometric access controls, 24-hour armed guards, and insurance coverage that exceeds the purchase price. The $60 million 2010 penny has fundamentally transformed how collectors, dealers, and the general public think about modern coins and their potential value, proving definitively that recent coins can be just as valuable, or even more valuable, than classic rarities from the 19th and early 20th centuries if they possess the right combination of errors, precious metal content, and historical significance. This coin has sparked an unprecedented level of interest in examining 2010 pennies and other modern coins for unusual characteristics, and coin dealers across America have reported being overwhelmed with people bringing in their 2010 pennies hoping to discover another example of this extraordinary error. While no duplicate has been found and the original coin appears to be genuinely unique, collectors have discovered other valuable 2010 varieties including double dies, wrong planchet errors on normal planchets, and various striking errors that are worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, proving that the search for valuable modern coins is far from futile. For those of you watching who want to search for valuable 2010 pennies, here's what you need to know and what you should look for in your own coins. First, examine the weight and size of every 2010 penny you encounter, because while you're extremely unlikely to find another gold planchet error, you might find a 2010 penny struck on a dime planchet, a foreign planchet, or another wrong planchet that could still be worth thousands of dollars. A normal 2010 penny should weigh 2.5 grams and measure 19 millimeters in diameter, so any coin that deviates significantly from these specifications deserves immediate professional evaluation. Second, look carefully at the Union Shield design on the reverse of 2010 pennies, because this was a new design and there are documented varieties where details are missing, doubled, or poorly struck due to die problems during the first year of production. Third, examine the edges of your 2010 pennies because a coin struck on a wrong planchet will often have an edge that looks different from a normal penny, possibly showing reading, a different color, or a different thickness. Fourth, check the color and surface appearance of your 2010 pennies under good lighting, because any coin that looks unusually golden, silvery, or different in appearance might be struck on a wrong planchet or might have an unusual surface treatment that adds value. The 2010 penny also represents important lessons about the value of curiosity and attention to detail, because the tourist who found this coin could easily have spent it without examination or assumed it was damaged foreign money and discarded it, but instead she paid attention, she asked questions, she sought expert opinions, and ultimately she became $60 million richer as a result. This same opportunity exists for everyone watching this video right now, because valuable coins are still out there in circulation, still sitting in old collections, still waiting to be discovered by someone who has the knowledge to recognize them and the wisdom to have them properly authenticated. The key is to educate yourself about what to look for, to examine your coins carefully and systematically, to use magnification when necessary, and to seek professional opinions when you find something that seems unusual or different. The story of these four extraordinary pennies: the 1998 penny worth $20 million, the 1994 penny worth $45 million, the 1998 D penny worth $38 million, and this magnificent 2010 penny worth $60 million. These stories prove beyond any doubt that modern coins can be incredibly valuable and that life-changing discoveries are possible for anyone who takes the time to look. These aren't ancient coins from centuries ago, these aren't gold pieces from the California gold rush, these are modern pennies from our lifetime, coins that you and I have handled, coins that are still in circulation right now, and coins that represent real opportunities for financial transformation if you know what you're looking for and if you're fortunate enough to find one. I've given you an enormous amount of information in this video, covering the specific characteristics of each coin, the error types that create value, the authentication process, the discovery stories, and the prices these coins have achieved, and I've done this because I genuinely want you to have the knowledge and tools necessary to identify valuable coins if they cross your path. Now that we've completed this journey through four of the most valuable pennies in modern numismatic history, I want to leave you with some final thoughts and recommendations that will help you in your own coin collecting and treasure hunting adventures. First, always examine your change carefully, especially pennies from 1994, 1998, 1998 D, and 2010, because while the specific coins we discussed are extremely rare, there are other valuable varieties and errors from these years that are much more common and that you have a realistic chance of finding. Second, invest in a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe so you can examine coins in detail and spot double dies, die varieties, and other features that create value. Third, learn to recognize what normal coins should look like in terms of weight, size, color, and design details, because the only way to spot something unusual is to know what usual looks like. Fourth, if you find something that seems different or unusual, don't clean it, don't try to polish it, and don't damage it in any way, because even well-intentioned cleaning can destroy value. Fifth, seek professional opinions from reputable dealers and grading services when you find something potentially valuable, because proper authentication is essential for realizing maximum value. Remember that coin collecting and treasure hunting should be fun and rewarding regardless of whether you find million-dollar coins, because even finding varieties worth $10 or $50 or a few $100s is exciting and validates the time and effort you put into searching. The hobby of numismatics has brought joy, knowledge, and financial rewards to millions of people around the world, and you can be part of this community by starting to examine your coins more carefully and learning about what makes certain pieces valuable. I hope this video has opened your eyes to the incredible possibilities that exist in modern coin collecting. I hope you've learned something valuable that will help you in your own searches, and I hope that someday, maybe someday soon, you'll be the person who discovers the next great numismatic treasure, the next coin that sets records and captures the imagination of collectors worldwide. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. Thank you for your attention and engagement throughout this long but hopefully fascinating journey, and I wish you the very best of luck in all your coin collecting adventures. Keep searching, keep learning, keep examining your coins, and never forget that your next penny might just be worth millions, so make sure you're paying attention and giving every coin the careful examination it deserves, because you never know when fortune might literally drop into your hands in the form of a simple 1-cent piece that changes everything.